Phillies on top.
But this club just does not die.
He's under it. He's got it. And the game is over. Hoskins swung on, crushed, and the Phillies are going to lead it 4-0. Just a towering fly ball to straightaway left. Schwarber was ready. Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
Everybody, welcome to the very first episode of Phrankly Phils. My name is Adam Mack. I will be your amazing host throughout this, journey of a season, or whatever you want to call this season so far. I'm going to just be warning you right now. Obviously, we got the game on right now. We've all been off to a slow start, so this is a tough one. So we got to make sure we're always focused on that. What do we got? 2 outs, man on first for the Phillies. Oh, no, end of the 7th. So we're doing solid. All right. Let's get to business. Let's talk a little bit of Phillies. Man, this is going to be a tough one. We're off to a tough start, but let's talk a little about it. Phillies are off to a really slow start. Obviously 0-5, get swept by Texas at Texas. We'll just break down each of those games. Game 1, they take on Jacob deGrom, former, 2-time Cy Young winner. Phillies are very familiar with him, obviously, with Jacob deGrom. But did very, very well. Got 5 runs, knocked 5 runs out of him, got him out in the 3rd inning. And then we just imploded. Offense obviously looked good, 9 runs on opening day. Can just go down the list of guys who are doing good. Turner was phenomenal, triple. Bohm was phenomenal. Marsh was phenomenal. But the pitching was absolutely abysmal. Aaron Nola continues to – it's just Aaron Nola, man. Sometimes he's solid, sometimes he's bad. Are we going to get the guy that was second in the Cy Young race, or are we going to get the guy that we just saw on opening day? My boy Jeff chime in, is it time to panic? Some people are ready to panic. I'm not. We're 5 games in the season. We're up 4-0 around the Yankees. I try to focus on the positives right now with this team because there are a lot of positives. It's just not resulting into wins. So let's kind of break down some of those positives right now for that team. The offense, I don't think has really missed a beat since last year. And that's still without their 2 leading hitters from that 2022 postseason run in Harper and Hoskins, who are both out with injuries right now. But the home runs aren't obviously there. Tonight they are, with Schwarber and Marsh both going yard. But Bohm is batting phenomenal. Batting .467, 7 hits, 3 RBI so far. Turner, batting .389, 7 hits, 1 RBI. Castellanos batting .267. Bryson Stott batting .400. I know he hasn't played every single game, but still impressive numbers from the second-year guy. He has 6 hits. Marsh is batting .464. I'm not sure how much that's changed with his appearance today, but he's got 5 hits on the year. Edmundo Sosa, who's primarily a defensive guy, he's batting .375. Derek Hall, big bad Hall over there, he's batting .256. So the offense has been, in my opinion, phenomenal. Think back to Game 3 of the Texas series. They only put 1 run up. You got to give it off to Texas and just the amount of the defensive plays that they had. They had 4 or 5, plays where it could have resulted, if it didn't go the way it was meant to, it could have been very, very bad for the Rangers and would have resulted in 3 or 4 runs for the Phillies, which would have obviously gave them the win. Game 2 in Texas, obviously putting up 3 runs, but we'll get into the issues in just a second. But there's also been some lights for the Phillies pitching. We'll just talk about the guy on the mound today, Matt Strahm. 4 innings, 1 hit, 3 Ks. Now, when this rotation's fully healthy, you expect Nola, Wheeler, 1-2, however you want to put them. Ranger, Ranger Suarez, Taijuan Walker, 3-4, however they want to put them. And that fifth spot was up for debate. Now, all the fans wanted Andrew Painter, the 19-year-old prospect who's just lighting up the majors. He's obviously sidelined right now with a UCL injury. Hasn't started pitching yet, so not quite sure what the next steps, are there for him. But Stram did a really good job today of proving that he should be that fifth starter. There's a bunch of other guys that could have been in contention for that. Bailey Falter, Painter, and kind of Stram, I think, rounded out that three that realistically has a shot, deep down the season for that fifth starter spot. Falter, I think, has done all right. I think he should be mostly used as a bullpen guy, 1-2 innings max. It seems like when he gets to that third, fourth innings, just kind of implodes a little bit. But Stram, man, he looked sharp. He looked mid-season. He looked like a seasoned veteran. So I say go Matt Stram at that fifth spot. He definitely made a good case today. I'm hoping today wasn't just a fluke outing, but you got to look at who he did it against. He gave up no hits to Giancarlo Stanton, which is impressive in its own, DJ LeMahieu, and some guy named Aaron Judge, who, if you follow an ounce of baseball, he's very good at hitting. So to see that he kind of completely shut down the Yankees lineup and did it so dominantly, he made a really good point for that fifth starter spot, and is a very big bright spot in the Phillies' big weakness so far. What we got? Ooh, who's that? Bryson Stott, man. He's stand-up double, 1 out, top 8. I'm going to keep going back and forth for this. I'm going to try not to do this for every show, but it's a historic day when Phillies are going to get their first win. But pitching, man, let's stay on the positives right now with that hitting. Alec Bohm, man. Let's talk a little bit about Alec Bohm. I thought throughout the spring he was the second best MVP in the lineup. Obviously, the main MVP was the hero for Team USA throughout the World Baseball Classic, Trey Turner, who just seemed like he was in mid-season form throughout the whole spring. But Bohm hit really, really well throughout the spring, was playing very good defense. He looked like he was in he felt like he never took a step back after the World Series. So he stepped up day one, and he's just playing phenomenal. Obviously, the home run on opening day, 2 for 3 to start the game. He's batting .467. He leads the team on hits, leads the team in RBIs, leads the team on batting average. I saw an article about Kevin Long asked him, and when they played St. Louis, he asked Kevin Long, he's like, what makes Paul Goldschmidt the MVP? And he said he always shows up on time. And obviously, Bomer has been listening to him because, now look at him. He's absolutely lighting it up. The concerns I'm kind of seeing right now is Thompson has him playing first, sometimes has him playing third. It's not quite sure what we're going to get out of him. So he's been doing very well at third. So I'm kind of hoping they stick him there, let him develop as a fielder. That was obviously a big concern with him last year. Obviously, infamous 3-error inning, which he then said, I hate this place. Progressed a lot as a fielder throughout the season. But, the Phillies' big weakness in 2022 was the defense. And so far, I don't see the defense as being much of a weakness. Obviously, Marsh had a pretty bad play in center field yesterday that hit to Judge. There was no chance he was going to catch that. Should just let the ball bounce, get him at second, keep him at first, but instead puts him at third. Obviously didn't make a huge difference in the end. It's just one of those technicality things that, he's supposed to be the Gold Glove center fielder. But so far, looking at the lineup, it's been absolutely phenomenal. As I say this, Marsh is limping. He might have hit something off his foot. That's what he's holding. Actually, I think he fouled the ball off his foot, so we'll keep an eye on. Let's see what the replay says. Yep, fouled the ball right off his foot. Phillies can't catch a break. I mean, this is what we deal with. There's injuries after injuries, but looking at the rest of the lineup, Edmundo Sosa is actually great to see that he's been hitting the ball very well. He's a very great defensive utility guy in the infield. He's obviously going to be coming in handy. Josh Harrison, I think, is going to be probably designated for assignment at some point when they start to realize there's a lot better players in AAA, which we'll get to a little bit later. But Sosa, man, like he could be another guy that if you want to move Bohm over to first, Sosa would be a good guy to play at third. So I've been happy with the Phillies offense and the Phillies and the Phillies defense. I think they've both been performing over expectation, higher than expectations right now. But there is one glaring weakness with this team, and it's obviously the pitching from the starters all the way to the bullpen. Let's just start with the starters. I mean, Nola, 8.31 ER or no, 12.27 ERA, 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, in his lone start opening day against the Rangers. Looked great up until he got to that 4th inning, and just it seemed like we're back in that game 1 of the World Series where he just completely implodes. So it's we had high expectations for Nola. Will this be the year he makes himself so-called an ace? I know there's a lot of people out there who said he's not an ace. He's just a borderline starter, and this isn't a contract here for him. Phillies obviously broke off contract negotiations with him. This could be his last year, but man, if this is what you want teams to think about and want to invest you in, you're going to need to go longer than 3 innings. And if you're going to go longer than 3 innings, you can't be giving up, 4 walks, however, like 6 earned runs that he gave in that 1 inning. It's just, it's not just something can't happen. So hoping like Nola gets that. Wheeler, 8.31 ERA, 7 strikeouts, and then still 1 walk. Couple mistakes obviously led to some runs. I think of all of our starters, Wheeler looks the best right now. He's still starting slow. He's not that dominant pitcher we saw throughout the postseason last year, where his fastball was just untouchable. I don't feel like he's at 100%. I remember you go back to Game 5 of the NLCS. He got hit in the knee with a line drive. He never came back the same pitcher after that. Definitely not against Houston. Even the rest of that game, just something just seemed to be off. So seeing as how that's kind of the same as we're at right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Wheeler's not healthy per se. So, keep an eye on him. But of all our starters so far, he's obviously performed the best. Bailey Falter, the best ERA at 3.38, only 3 strikeouts, no walks. I really liked him, actually. I think he has a bright future within the organization, but I think he has to be a reliever. I can't see long-term. He obviously had some decent starts towards the back half of that last season. His lone playoff start was absolutely abysmal. Gets pulled in the 1st inning. Just something that can happen. But, if you have him pitch for 1 or 2 innings, I think maybe a middle relief guy, setup guy, could be a very beneficial player down the stretch. And we'll get a little into the bullpen and some guys I think need to go, and some guys I'm kind of concerned that we haven't seen as much. But Falter, I think, is, he's still young. I think he shouldn't be that 5th starter. Too much inexperience, just too big of a question mark. He really varies batter to batter. Some batters he's, lights out, and then some batters he's letting a pitch hang over the middle of the plate, and the other teams are obviously just taking advantage of it. So Taijuan Walker obviously struggling in his debut. It's a tough debut for you against the Yankees lineup. But pretty awful start from him. 8.31 ERA, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. I know obviously was able to get some strikeouts here and there. I think it's still new. I think it's also people need to realize it's Taijuan Walker. He's not an ace. He's not a perennial all-star. He's not a perennial Cy Young candidate. he's a pretty overpaid pitcher right now that is good for the 4-5 spot in a playoff caliber rotation. So then it leaves the fifth starter, still obviously undecided. Matt Strahm obviously got to start today. Best pitching performance we've seen all season. 4 innings, 1 hit, 3 Ks. Against, again, we're going to keep saying the Yankees lineup, which was absolutely phenomenal. Right now, is the best pitcher on the entire rotation. You got to think, if he would have pitched game 1, would that have ended differently? If he would have pitched game 2, would have that game ended differently? Game 3, I think, was just some unfortunate plays that Texas made the great plays. But let's go to the bullpen. I think the real bad Achilles heel for this club. It's been the Achilles heel for the last few years. I think people kind of tend to forget that with that playoff run with guys like Alvarado and Sir Anthony coming in and just being lights out throughout the entire playoffs. What do we got? But all right. But the bullpen has been absolutely abysmal. Connor Brogdon today, he gave up 1 hit. Probably would have given up about 2 more, but fortunately, they got bailed out, but it was just hit to the right person. But Connor Brogdon he's still on the mound. As I said, he's probably going to go lights out right now, but Connor Brogdon has not been solid right now. 9 ERA, only 2 strikeouts. Kimbrel, 81 ERA, 1 strikeout. Gregory Soto, 27 ERA, no strikeouts right now. It's just kind of concerning because prior to today, we have only seen Alvarado pitch once this season. And it's kind of concerning because he looked very good in the World Baseball Classic for Venezuela. I think he only gave up 1 hit in 3 starts. 9 innings, giving up 1 hit. Looked really, really good. The velocity was there. He's getting the corners very, really well. So it's been weird that we haven't seen him. And then today, 12 pitch, 3 strikeout inning for him. So I believe on 3 or 4 of the pitches hit 100. So it's not like the velocity is an issue. His control seems to be fine. So why we haven't seen Alvarado pitch other than opening day, it's been a little bit questioning kind of the decisions by Rob Thompson. We'll get into Topper a little bit later, but Sir Anthony obviously had a pretty rough start, 3 earned runs in his lone appearance, but these are guys that are the veterans of the bullpen and have been proven time and time that they're reliable relievers. So to only get 1 appearance out of them, and we're saying, well, this isn't performing right, they're not playing well. You have 2 of your best guys not even in the game. Good. 4 outs away from this little drought we're going on. But you have Sir Anthony and Alvarado who just haven't been playing well. But then you have guys like Brogdon, Bilotti, Vasquez. They're getting consistent, calls out from the pen. It's like, could have game 2 gone differently if maybe Alvarado got the call or Sir Anthony got the call. So it's been quite concerning. And then let's talk about the Phillies' big addition to the bullpen. I guess 1 of 2, but the one that's, an all-star last year, Gregory Soto. Seen him once. Yeah, it was pretty awful, but he also walked into a pretty awful situation that Aaron Nola left him. But why isn't he playing? We gave up Maton and Vierling to see Gregory Soto not even pitch. And so I'm like, what is going on that you have a 2-time All-Star in Soto, pretty recent All-Star, not compared to the other big-time guy that we brought in. They're not getting starts. So we got to figure out what's going on there because Soto's supposed to be an all-star. He's supposed to be that setup guy. He's supposed to be the 8th inning guy that's supposed to be in right now. Instead, it's the 8th inning, and we have Connor Brogdon still on the mound. what happened? I know Topper likes to experiment with bullpen rotations. He did all last year once he took over for Joe Girardi. But to not even play him, it's I don't want to say concerning. I'm questioning the decisions. Is there an injury? Is there just they don't want to use his arm? They want to have him go the full season. So it's weird why Connor Brogdon here gets 2 innings. And now obviously you can say, they have a day game tomorrow. They want Sir Anthony. They want Soto. They want Kimbrel. They want their arms to be fully rested for tomorrow. That's obviously why JT isn't in the lineup and Garrett Stubbs is in the lineup right now. But it's still curious. But even throughout any of the games against Texas last night, we haven't seen these guys. And the guys that we have seen, Bellotti, Brogdon, they're not performing. Jose Alvarado's performed. He has no ERA, 0.00 ERA so far. So we haven't seen. He's been lights out. He was lights out in the spring, lights out in the WBC. But now we're in the games that truly matter. And he's still been pretty good, but we're not seeing a pitch. So that's a concerning thing. I think Craig Kimbrel, obviously bringing in 2-time reliever of the year, World Series champion, 8-time All-Star. Athletes can go on and on about him. He's not the same pitcher. Hasn't been that same pitcher since he left Boston in 2018, 2019, whenever that he won the World Series with them. So, he's obviously not that same pitcher. So it's who's going to be that 9th inning guy. I'm curious who Topper goes with tonight in the 9th inning. I can't imagine Brogdon's going to go for 3 innings tonight. Could Kimbrel be that guy? This would be his 2nd appearance on the season. But let's also talk about the new Phillies reliever that should be making his appearance, Yunior Marte, after, again, an abysmal start or relief appearance yesterday. Got optioned down to AAA today. McKinley Moore was called up. He'll be making his MLB debut. I don't believe he is active today, or he might be he's definitely on the roster. I don't believe he is in New York yet. If he is, he's not in uniform. And I can't imagine Topper is going to go to him in the 9th inning today. So whenever his MLB debut comes, should be tomorrow is my guess. He came from the Chicago White Sox in the Adam Hazley trade. Last year spent time between AA and AAA within the Phillies organization. 4.35 ERA, 7 strikeouts, 1.53 whip. Not great. Great numbers out of him. Has had a pretty decent spring this year. Who do we got warming up? All right, so Craig Kimbrel is obviously in the pen right now. He's warming up for the Phillies. He's going to be the 9th inning guy. Curious what he's able to do today. What we got going on? Got Garrett Stubbs up right now. 1 for 3, man. He's best backup catcher in the game. Let's call him that. But, man. Yeah, so the McKinley trade. There's a couple guys down in AAA right now. I'll get to a guy later when we talk about the minors with Reading and Lehigh Valley. But I think bringing McKinley up it's a solid move. Marte was inconsistent, just plain awful. I think some time down in AAA will do him well. Obviously got him from Detroit this year, but I mean McKinley, it can't hurt to bring him up. I'm just going to say this. I'm not sure who the Yankees pitcher is, but this is the second time in the same at-bat, he's been called for a pitch clock violation. I don't think you're supposed to make 1, let alone 2 in the same at-bat. So just want to throw that one out there. But, I like the idea of bringing McKinley in. The bullpen, I think, just needs to get their order. They obviously need to play a lot better. I think the whole pitching staff needs to step up. The offense has been putting them in decent positions to be winning these games. Obviously, game 1, 5-0 lead. Obviously, in games 3 and last game against Texas, first game against the Yankees. They've only scored 1 run in each of them. I'm still going to try to erase that third Texas game. I think that Texas just made great defensive plays throughout the whole game. But all right, let's move on to a topic that is very popular on Twitter right now, and I can't believe we are in the middle of Game 5 and we had to have this discussion. But please stop with the Rob Thompson needs to be fired narrative. Few reasons. Okay, reasons 1. We are currently in Game 5 of a 162 game season. Okay. You wouldn't have these major overreactions to a coach and want them fired in Game 5 of an NFL season, let alone Major League Baseball. Now, was the team ready to play opening day? No. Is the team ready to play on day 2? No. Have they been playing well the first 4 games? No. Game 5 today, they're playing phenomenal. Hats off to Topper today. But it is a long season. This is also a new team compared to that 2022 postseason team. Let's just go through some different things. Your leader in the clubhouse, yes, he is still there, but missing from that lineup hurts that lineup and just the overall flow for the team. So Harper's out. Your second best offensive player, Hoskins, also out. Gene Segura, one of a fan favorite, great locker room guy, no longer there. He's in Miami. Let's go to the bullpen. Zach Eflin, he's in Baltimore. David Robertson, he's in the Mets. Noah Syndergaard, he's with the Dodgers. So you have a lot of new faces on this team. So, yeah, you obviously brought in Trey Turner. He's off to a great start, don't get me wrong. But you also have some other different changes. Stott's playing a new position. He's trying to get adjusted to that. Topper's trying to figure out the designated hitter spot. It's been Schwarber had spent time as a DH. Jake Cave has spent time as a DH. Nick Castellanos has spent time as the DH. So we're still trying to find our footing. Obviously everyone expected us to go in and win 162 games because we brought in Trey Turner. We're the defending NL champs. We're going to win the World Series. Big whoop. It was interesting because when I listened to Charlie Manuel, who I think most Philly fans will respect, he's like, this happens. Teams go on cold stretches. So we need to stop with this Rob Thompson needs to be fired narrative. Who are we going to bring in? Mid-season. Not even mid-season. Start of the season. That's going to be able to change his locker room around. First of all, Joe Girardi didn't get fired until June of his third full season. Topper's in his first full season. So to say that Topper is going to get fired and you want him gone because the team hasn't played well to start the season and they haven't won a game yet, you need to stop with that narrative. Because Topper's going to be the manager till the end of the season. Unless they just manage to not win a single game for 3 months. And even then, I think they're going to be fine. So imploding, blowing up the lineup, blowing up the roster, firing all the coaches because they lost 5 games in a row. Really? But everyone's prediction for this team was an 87-90 win team. But because they don't win 5 games, and it's pretty simple. The Phillies just can't win in the state of Texas. So as long as we don't meet the Rangers or the Astros in the World Series this October, we're solid. That's really all it is. We just don't like the state of Texas. And then our second series of the year just happened to be against, the defending AL East champions, the Yankees. So it's not like we have a good easy start to the season. Now, I'd be concerned if we started the season again with Oakland and we then went to Baltimore, or if we went from DC to Boston, I'd be a little bit concerned there. But we played a Rangers team that's under a new manager, Bruce Bochy, which is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. pretty decent lineup. Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, some other pretty young guys, pretty obviously very good defensively. Then we're playing the Yankees, who obviously have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Fortunately, I haven't seen Garrett Cole yet. Not going to wood, we just don't see him at all. But to say, but that Rob Thompson needs to go narrative just really, I think, it's an overreaction, as big of an overreaction. Now, obviously, when a team performs, it's easy to go right after the manager, but Thompson's not the fault right now. He's trying to figure out the right lineup, right rotation, right order out of the bullpen. We don't know that because it's a brand new bullpen. Looking at it, truthfully, there's only 2 real returners who were consistently there. And even that, Alvarado didn't play the whole season in the MLB last year. Sir Anthony, did, but they're the 2 main guys returning from that bullpen. Like I said, Robertson's gone, Syndergaard's gone, Eflin's gone, Corey Neville's gone. Half that bullpen from last year is gone. Now, did they just not? So, but 2 of the guys, like Alvarado's pitched phenomenally this year. Sir Anthony's pitched phenomenally this year. He's just not using them as much. So, has Topper made questionable decisions throughout this season so far? Absolutely. But he made questionable decisions all last year. Some of them worked out in the Phillies' favor. Some of them didn't work out in the Phillies' favor. Obviously, pulling Zach Wheeler in Game 6. But bringing in Ranger Suarez in Game 5. Obviously, no one questioned him on that. We're 2 outs away, baby. We're 2 outs away. But I think Rob Thompson's not going to get fired. Even the idea that he should, I think, is just as big of an overreaction as possible. Say week 1 of the NFL season, Eagles lose. Are we going to say Sirianni needs to go? Really? No, we're not, because it's a long season. We're about to close out Game 5 of a 162 game season. We still need to see this team at full strength. We haven't seen them. We're still missing Harper. I don't think Hoskins is going to play have another at bat in a Phillies uniform. But, we're missing Bryce Harper. Another thing I kind of was thinking about earlier, and I can't believe I got to say this, but it was a weird offseason for the Phillies. Typically, they're done at the end of September because, they suck and they don't make the playoffs for 20 years, or feels like 20 years. They didn't finish playing until mid-November. And because of that previous MLB lockout, it was a shortened offseason. There was a shortened offseason to catch up for this year. So they finished mid-November, and then, start of February? They're right back in Clearwater. So they got what? A month and a half to fully reset? I wouldn't be surprised if they're still tired. I mean, they used to have, 4.5 months off. Now they get a month and a half off. And we saw what happened to Nola, Wheeler, the entire starting pitching. They just weren't performing well. Their arms gave out. It got to that point of the season. And we still haven't seen Ranger Suarez. Suarez looked pretty solid until, oh no. All right. DJ LeMahieu just went deep. 4-1 Phillies. They have a good enough buffer right now. I still like our chances. Add that to Craig Kimball's ERA right now. Can imagine. It's right. I always said it's not good when your ERA is bigger than your age. I don't think it's good when your ERA is triple your age. So, like I said, he's not the same pitcher he was in Boston and Atlanta. So we'll see what happens. But Rob Thompson's here for at least this season. He's obviously signed that 2-year contract. He's not going anywhere. Just let this team figure out their footings, figure out their place. It's a long season. I'm happy that we got the series with the Rangers and the Yankees out of the way. And even at the end of the month, we get to play the Astros. I'm happy to get that series out of the way. I'd rather have a hard first half of the season than a hard second half of the season, kind of like the Sixers right now. Coasted through the first half of the season. Now they got to play a bunch of great teams. I'd really like to get these guys out of the way now, test us early, then we can move on. But remember, we still have a long season. We got to see what this team is at full strength. Let Topper figure out this lineup. Let him figure out this rotation. Obviously Dave Dombrowski has done a great job. He saw Yuri Marte pretty right away and realized this guy is not MLB ready. He needs a little bit more time down in AAA. So great pick idea for him to go down AAA. But speaking of AAA, let's talk a little bit about the minor leagues. Reading has not started their season yet. The Reading Fighting Phils, they had a scrimmage today against the Jersey City Blue Claws. They won the game. Some great stuff. But let's talk a little bit about the Lehigh Valley Ironpigs. This is where I'm nervous with the Phillies. Judge just got walked, so we got man on first, 1 out. So we'll keep you posted on how this game goes, but I'm getting a little nervous right now with this team. They always like to keep us on our toes, but talk a little about Lehigh Valley. Check if how their game's going today. If we got fun. Yep. So they won 5-3 over. So they're now 3-0 in the season. And let me tell you, man, they've had some pretty good players down there. Vimel Machin, prior to today, batted 570. He's been batting 571, 2 hits. That is also, again, he's been another guy that he's had a pretty busy offseason or spring. He spent time on the Puerto Rico team. He's looked phenomenal down there. He could be a guy that, if, knock on wood, injuries occur on the Phillies infield, he could be a guy that can get called up. Another guy that's actually been having a crazy good spring, both offensively and defensively, which keep focusing on the defense since it's always been the Phillies, Achilles heel. Cody Clemens, man, son of Roger Clemens, been phenomenal, both offensively and defensively. I'm curious to see watch his continued development. He could be a guy that, if, say Stott just really doesn't work out, they move on from Stott in some form or fashion. Cody Clemens could be a guy they can move up to major leagues. Also, big thing, he could be used in a trade. Obviously, I can't imagine Dave Dombrowski, is going to be quiet this season. You're not going to make many trades, any signings. You're actually kidding me. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, 2 outs. Castellanos had to back up onto the warning track for Gleyber Torres' hit. But, man, Phillies just really, really love doing this to us. But we'll keep going with the minors. Cody Clemens is an interesting guy because he's obviously young. Could be a guy that could be used in a trade if they decide to, get some new starting pitching, relief pitching. So if he don't be surprised if he doesn't finish this year, the Phillies in the Phillies farm system, just because of how valuable he's been playing. My man Scott Kingery, Phillies legend, real true Phillies legend. He's been lighting up. First 2 games of the season for the Ironpigs, 2 home runs. I've been calling him the greatest. You're actually kidding me. Oh, Stanton now hit a ball on the right. You got man second and first, 2 outs. This is just proving you want our closer to go 1, 2, 3, 9th. We got Josh Donaldson. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Ground out, fly out, ground out to double play. So, man, if they blow this game, wouldn't even surprise me. If they do, Craig Campbell should be designated for assignment prior to him getting to the clubhouse. But so far, some good things down in AAA for the Ironpigs. They're 3-0 on the season. I'll be there tomorrow covering the game for AT Sports. So it's exciting. Obviously, Game 2, the pitching was absolutely phenomenal. ZJ Zouch, Jeremy Walker, Trey Cobb. They combined for 14 strikeouts. Just absolutely incredible performance for them. Offense is a little bit slow, but when you have 14 strikeouts from your starting pitching, it's going to be hard to lose a game. So Trey Cobb is actually a guy I wanted to talk about. I predicted he was going to make the opening day roster. He had a phenomenal spring, never gave up a run, boatload of strikeouts, couple hits here and there, was absolutely great. He's been a guy who's going between Double A and Triple A for the last couple of years with a few different teams. He was with the Mets last year. Could this be it? Could this be it? All right. I'll get back to Trey Cobb. Got it. All right. We did it. Yep. The Phillies won a game. Now Twitter can shut up, man. We're not going to go 0-162. Obviously, right now we're 1-4. Not ideal. I always say the first win's the hardest win, especially when you're in a losing streak. It seems like that's never going to end. I'm happy to do it against the Yankees. I would hate to go back on Thursday, go home 0-6 against a Reds team that's 3-1, 4-1, whatever they are right now. Did it against a very good Yankees lineup. Obviously held Judge and Stan to nothing. The home run by LeMahieu is what it is, but they played phenomenally. Matt Stram, can't imagine he's anything less. Yeah. Matt Stram is the player of the game, 4 innings, 1 hit against, again, I'm going to keep saying Yankees lineup. Volpe got the only hit off of him. So shout out to Matt Stram. I hope this wasn't a fluke. I hope he keeps, progressing, getting that work in. If it is, he's going to be the longtime starter for this club down the stretch. But some other good things, obviously Schwarber got the first Schwarbomb, 200th of his career or something, whatever it was. I saw 200. Philly tweeted it. Must be important. But, big time hit by him, get that first home run. He obviously had a pretty great World Baseball Classic. Started off a little bit slow. Would have had that first home run already, but got a robbery in Game 3. Another defensive play by the Rangers. Woo. But he obviously did really well. Marsh was hitting the ball really, really well. Bohm, Turner. Everyone hit the ball well. They had 10 hits overall. Let's see if I can pull that up. Stats from today's game. Where is it? Bear with me. ESPN.com. It doesn't want to work with me today because they suck as always. I hate baseball. Here we go. Box score. Sucks that Stram doesn't even get, because he didn't go 5 innings, doesn't even get the win. Bellotti gets it, which I hate to give him the benefit of the doubt, but everyone get a hit? No. Boom. 0 for 3, Hall 0 for 4, Castellanos 0 for 4. Castellanos, man, I was really at high hopes for him prior to, going to today's game. I'm like, he's hitting the ball a lot much better. He's much more disciplined in the plate, which was his big concern throughout the whole season. Last year, or at least the postseason, I think was his biggest Achilles heel. Swung on every first pitch. He looked not good today. So hopefully today was just one of those days, but swinging at bad pitches, wasn't seeing the ball all that well. Garrett Stubbs didn't get any hit, but Brandon Marsh, he went 1 for 4. Jake Cave, Jake Cave went 2 for 4. He had a pretty solid day. First 2 hits as a Philly. Bryson Stott 2 for 4. He's batting 421 on the season. Turner's batting 391 still. So this lineup, you got 1, 2, 3 guys who aren't batting above 200, which is a little bit concerning. But we got some messages going on. But let's look at the pitching right now. Yeah, Strand doesn't obviously go 5 innings, so he doesn't get credited with the win. But 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Bellotti goes an inning, 2 strikeouts. Alvarado, 3 strikeouts on just 12 pitches. Connor Brogdon, 2 innings, only threw 27 pitches. I wasn't particularly fond of him. I think he got lucky that a bunch of his balls hit out or hit just directly to a fielder. He didn't look super solid. Kimbrel struggled. Fortunately, he was able to get himself out of the tough situation with man and runner first and second. But, Phillies, they won the game. That's the most important thing. This isn't, college basketball, college football, where you got to impress a committee. A win is a win. He did it against a really, really good team. Let's see who they got tomorrow pitching, what the matchup tomorrow is. But I'm excited. Yeah, so pretty good pitcher matchup. Obviously, it's a day game, 105. Aaron Nola will take on Garrett Cole. Cole is 1-0, 0.00 ERA, 6 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, 3 hits, 2 walks, and his opening day win against Giants. Yeah, not ideal for a team that's hoping to win the series against the Yankees. So, we got to just the lineup needs to show up tomorrow. We need to see Turner continuously get on base. Big concern I'm also kind of seeing now for the Phillies. It was evident in Game 3 against the Rangers, hitting with runners on scoring position. Phillies had a boatload of hits, can get men on first, can get men on second, get men on third. Could not do anything once they're on base. So I think that's going to be a big key for Phillies. They can get on base with Garrett Cole. They can draw the walks. They can get on base. They can hit them. They've been doing a really good job working the count. Big thing, I think they need to be able to do stuff when runners get on base. Turner's been able to get to second and third with his speed. We need to get him home. That's why I brought him in. That's why I put him at the leadoff position. So, curious to see how that works out. But just want to finish up on Trey Cobb. He's had a really good spring. Obviously doing really good in the minors. That's why I was kind of shocked that McKinley Moore got the call up over him. But Trey Cobb's been 29 years old, lifetime guy in the minors, bounced between a few teams, spent half last year in AA and AAA. So far, he had a good spring training with the Phillies. Obviously off to a really good start right now with the Ironpigs. But, I mean, Dombrowski has shown if you're not going to perform in the majors, you're going to get sent down to AAA. The guys in AAA who are performing are going to get called up. So, seeing as, guys like, truthfully, Kimbrel has just not been solid. But you have other guys. Andrew Vasquez, he's only played in one game. Didn't really do much. No strikeouts, no earned runs, but nothing to be exciting about. Bellotti or Brogdon keep, getting bailed out by the defense being in the right place at the right time. They can get the call, and I think they would probably benefit more than anybody get, a little bit of time down in the minors for, a week or so. But Trey Cobb's a guy you need to keep an eye out in Lehigh Valley. Obviously, Cody Clemens is a guy you need to keep an eye out. And Weimel Mansion. Through his 3 guys, keep an eye out for them. Obviously, when Andrew Painter is ready to start throwing, Port's hasn't started throwing yet for the team. So he's a guy that will probably end up seeing the majors at some point. Mick Abel in AA, he's a guy. Had a really, really good spring. Just not ready for AAA right now. He'll probably get the call up June, July, maybe. I can't see that happening any later. Curious once Reading gets into their season a little bit. Pedro Martinez, man, Phillies brought him back. Now it's probably not the same Pedro Martinez, but I'm going to roll with it and say Pedro Martinez is apparently not a starting shortstop for the Reading Fighting Phils. So curious how that plays out for him. But let's see if any news came out from Lehigh from the game major. See if I got the stat. And I did. All right. Let's see. Jordan Cassar put 2. He had a really good game today. Walked with 2 runners on. Delco native Jim Haley had the go-ahead home run for the Pigs today. Obviously put them on top. Cassar also had a 2-run home run, so he had a pretty good game for him. Jake Jewell, he got the win. He pitched a scoreless 6, allowing just 1 hit, but striking out 2. Good start from him. Noah Sakara started for the Ironpigs, but did not factor in decision. Allowed 2 runs, 1 earned over 5 innings on 4 hits and a walk, striking out 3. Obviously not an ideal start for him, but so far alive's gone right down in AAA for the Phillies. Just nothing has gone right for the Phillies up in the majors. But so far, a lot of good stuff down in AAA right now. We're so used to the Phillies having just an abysmal farm system. There's a lot of good going on down there. A lot of guys to be excited about. Obviously, Painter being one, only 19 years old. He hasn't started throwing yet since he got shut down with the UCL injury. And, I know everyone wants him up in the majors because he's going to show up and he's going to be, Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, that type of dominance. I don't want to rush him at all. The last thing I want to do is bring him up too early. He gets hurt and we have a bust of a pitcher and he's only 21 years old. So I want to take our good old time with him. Really, there's any risk of an injury, he's not throwing, just because I'd rather have a starter go until he's 35, 36, not 25, 26. So, yeah, so he's a guy that I think, we'll probably see him at some point. I can't, especially once the roster expands in August. I can't, if only option that he doesn't make it up to the majors at some point is he's still hurt. I think the Phillies just need to be extra precautious with that. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. Obviously, Trey Cobb, he'll probably get the call up, especially just how horrible the bullpen has been so far. And, it's going to happen. Someone's going to go down with injury. Trey Cobb's definitely a guy. Yunier Marte, I hope never sees Citizens Bank Park just because of how awful he has been. And I really expect the rest of the Phillies bullpen is just going to step up. Gregory Soto is, still adjusting to a new team. Kimbrel, he's not going to be that same pitcher he was in Atlanta and Boston. So we'll see what happens with him. But Mick Abel, I don't think he probably won't see the majors this year. He should be called up to AAA at some point. Just curious of what happens with, that roster, how he does in AA. Just the season hasn't started, so we got to still wait for that. But a lot of great guys. And who knows, man, maybe the return of Scott Kingery. And I can just tell you right now, remember how loud the Bedlam at the bank was with Harper? Could you imagine the cheers if Scott Kingery returns and hits a home run? He would just come full circle. I think it would be like the circle of life, but with baseball. And instead of Simba, it's Scott Kingery, who I say he's the greatest minor league player in Phillies history. Obviously, as a joke, Johnny U, if you're watching, just badmouth that idea. So not cool, not fair, but best player in Phillies minor league history. Scott Kingery. It's the Scott Kingery show, but a lot of great things down in the minor leagues. Obviously, throughout the season, I'll be covering the Ironpigs. I'll do my best to peek over at Twitter and check in on games for the Fighting Phils in Reading. But I'll be following a lot of the Ironpigs. Obviously, the guys that should be called up should be sent down. Hopefully we don't see any rehab starts, but obviously Harper should be getting will probably return to Lehigh Valley. Good news with him. Both Rob Thompson and Bryce Harper confirmed on ESPN on Sunday that he's going to be taking live BP on Thursday ahead of opening day. One notice he was never put on the 60-day IL, which means he can return prior to May 28th, which is a big, big boost for this offense. Him rejoining this lineup will take wonders for this team, but that's obviously an important thing to know. Obviously, he'll only stick to hitting, won't be put back in the field. Not ready for that, but the fact that both Rob Thompson and Bryce Harper confirmed that on ESPN, that's a big thing to keep in mind. So that'll be a good thing to focus on. But, I'll be focusing a lot on the Ironpigs. I'll bring you all that information throughout the season. But, just looking back on the first 5 games, obviously started slow. A lot to talk about and be happy about and excited about, especially after tonight. Offense looks phenomenal. Defense has some concerns, but they're one of the better defensive teams so far early in the season. It's just the pitching. And that was the Achilles heel. That was the big weakness and concern we knew about heading into the season. And I really think that has a lot to do with the bullpen is freshly new, a lot of new faces in there. They're trying to figure out the order. And I don't think Nolan Wheeler, I think they're still tired from the end of last season with the shortened offseason this year. So it's exciting. I'm excited for Phillies baseball. Obviously, we'll have the Phrankly Phils show here every Tuesday, 9:15 throughout the season. We'll have some special guests on throughout the year. I have a couple guys that will obviously like to hop on. once I get to some Iron Pig games. Sure, I get some other sports guys that hop on the show, but it's super exciting. Obviously, make sure you tune into all the different shows on the AT Sports Network. Across the Pitch on Monday, AT Birds Weekly Report on Wednesday, Birds, Beers, and BS on Fridays with Jeff and Peanut. It's gonna be a fun season. I'm super excited. Make sure you tune in, like, subscribe, retweet, all that social media stuff. I couldn't tell you what any of this is. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at MacAdam19 for all your Phillies, Iron Pigs, Phrankly Phils coverage, all your news. And just slide in my DMs. Just want to have fun, talk. I'm always down to talk some baseball, always down to talk any sports. But, I want to keep on the AT Birds Weekly Report. They end every show by saying "Go Birds." I plan on ending my show with the same thing. Let's ring the bell, baby. See ya.